And there we go. Hi, Forbes. Thank
Hey,
you so much for joining me this morning. I really appreciate it.
you are most welcome. You're always welcome. You're such a ray of sunshine.
Oh, thank you so much. You know what? One of the things that I think that our women who belong to the WREN community really want to hear about is how women make it in going from very small means. I've read your bio. You're not born into money. And then becoming a multimillionaire. And not only the drastic difference, but like all the different mindsets and the different challenges that you faced along the way. What piece of advice can you give women to, venture in on that journey?
It's funny because actually I wrote a little book I have to find and give you guys one.
Yeah.
My son was sitting there yesterday and having this conversation. He's now 17. My twins are 17.
Oh.
And he looked at me and he's like, Mom, I am so grateful for all that you've done for us and all that you've allowed us to do. And I think because of my background, because I'm not spoiled, and I will tell you what that means to me, but out of college, I went to work for a billionaire. And I had a very specific plan in mind, even though I didn't articulate it. Looking back on and teaching from that is like, wow, Forbes, I knew exactly what I wanted and how I went about getting it. And so one, I teach how to get what you want. We're going to talk about that at Ignite, because most people watching this right now will say, oh, I know what I want. Let me tell you something. You are exactly where you are because you've asked for it. That's a lot of responsibility. I know. You're not any higher, any lower. You asked for exactly what you've gotten. And many people, especially women, don't have the courage to ask for more. I know this. I do this exercise all the time.
Oh,
and I don't want to give away too much of it. But well, wait, you raised your hand. Why? Because how does that resonate?
Because I feel like, I don't know if it's my upbringing or whatever, but you're not taught to dream big, right? And that's dreaming big, I'm like,
in fact, you're taught quite the opposite.
Yeah.
You're taught if you dream big or you're conceited. That was a big word when I was in school, or you think you're all that. Let me tell you. So out of college, because I grew up, we had no money. I mean, not a joke. My dad was wonderfully hardworking, but he had an accident. He spent 3 years in the hospital. I had 15 operations, and that will destroy a family, destroy your savings. And I'm grateful that we didn't end up homeless. My parents had a phenomenal savings. That's what they did. But it ate away at that, and it almost killed them. And it was so, and I didn't really know. When you're a kid, my parents money was not something you ever talked about. I will say I share much more with my children because I think it's an important thing that I feel like I missed out on. So, and I always remember like my mom would buy me $1 t-shirt, but never a $10 t-shirt. Or now I've bought a $100 t-shirt. I'm like, her mind would explode. We always had plastic on the couches. We had the same furniture our entire lives growing up. And I was a little embarrassed. We had a 1,300 square foot, house which my parents was a big deal for them. But I will tell you, from my dad's hospital room, he always got this corner room. It was on the top floor. I could look over, and there was one house in our town in Oceanside, Long Island, that was on like a half an acre with a manicured lawn and these big cypress trees. I call them rich people trees. And they had 2 giant chimneys. It was all like this red brick and a big pool, and you could see all of it over the trees from this, and I would stare at it. And I remember thinking, what must Halloween be like? Could I knock on their door? Could I get a whole Hershey bar? Or what was Christmas like? Because they really had a chimney. We didn't have a chimney. We had a tree. But I was fixated. And I don't think I realized how fixated I was. But after college, when I went to New York, the first thing I found myself, I don't even know how, becoming a social secretary. It was a job description in the newspaper. Like we had no Indeed or Upworks, whatever it is, people find jobs right now. And I became a social secretary for the Grace family. W.R. Grace and his wife, they were billionaires. And I later found out a lot of their money came from the war, like World War II, and some things that I was not very proud of. But one of the lessons I learned was Mrs. Grace and I were in the car, and she said, you need to go get Louis Vuitton out of the trunk. And I said to her, who's in the trunk? She looked at me and she said, you'll learn. I'm like, yes, I will. That's what I'm here to do. I remember making enough money and joining the New York Health and Racquet Club, which was like the premier club in Manhattan. And I told her about it. And she's like, oh dear, we don't play racquetball. We play tennis. I'm like, every time I thought I had it, I was miles from it. Because in that world, if you weren't brought up that way, muffy, and we know how to dress, and all the women did one kind, and I used to hang out with the guys because I was a guy on some level. and I was never fitting with the girls because they knew things I didn't know. They knew things about their nails and their hair and the way things were starched and pressed. I still to this day, and thank God, don't have any idea what kind of pocketbook you have. I don't really care. My daughter walked in the other day and she's like, Mom, that's like an $8,000 purse that woman has. I'm like, how do you know that? Why do you care? And so I made a couple of rules for myself, even shoes. Oh, I should show you. I have the cutest pair of shoes with little panda bear heels. I found this designer collection of shoes in London that will just blow your mind. They're $100 a piece. I, in my world, cannot spend more than that for a pair of shoes. I literally hit a limit. I could buy anything I want. I just can't. There's no purse. There's no shoes that are worth $800, $1,000. Take the money. $100 is your limit. If you want to spend that, take the $900 and give it to somebody else. And that's how I've lived my life.
Okay, I have to chime in here, and this is one of the reasons that I'm so excited to have you at Ignite, is because I believe when you make women millionaires, they do different things with their money. They give back to their community. I know that you do a lot of charity work, and that you always have throughout your life, and I find that it's just such an area of respect for me. And I just love that about women in general. You know, like we tend to better the communities that we live in, or better the families that we have, or help out other people. And so thank you for bringing that up. I think it's just really important.
Well, also it depends on the kind of charities too. One of my favorite pet charities is called Dress for Success. I do a training every 3 months called Forbes Factor Live. And I always give scholarships to women from Dress for Success. And they're always the most grateful, most amazing. And that is an organization started for women who are displaced from their home. And here's the thing, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you can lose it in a heartbeat. And unless you're prepared and understand this, if that happens, you are devastated. If your husband does something, or there's medical bills, or the kids, next thing you know, you're out on the street. The worst thing for a woman, one, they're physically very vulnerable. But two, if you don't have clothes to wear, you can't even take a meeting.
Right.
You can't get rehired.
Yeah.
And so I'm very committed to that. My aunt started the Downtown Women's Center in Los Angeles. There's a whole different charity about women supporting women. I don't mind supporting sicknesses and illnesses, but I'm not a big research fan. I think we already know the cure for cancer and MS. We're just not sharing it with people. Right. So I'm all about, even when cancer care was about helping people who had cancer get to their appointments, or helping people who are suffering right now. I can't stand seeing that.
Yeah. Well, and I think that leads into your work.
Yes.
You know, in your work, and although people might not be physically suffering, they're mentally suffering. You know, I think that there's a lot of women out there who are really wanting something, and yet not knowing the tools, not understanding what needs to go into, you know, that next version of themselves to have that, right?
Oh, well, I will tell you, I have an Eat Journal. I don't know if I've shown you my Eat Journal. It is a 6-week training program. It's a journal for what you eat and for what's eating you. Oh. I am a very emotional female eater. Between that, and I know you know my spin gym, you saw me on Home Shopping this morning, but I launched this program because I had a really weird issue. My mom was 260 pounds my whole life. And I don't care how successful you are. If you look down and you don't like what you see, if you take your clothes off and stand in the mirror naked and say anything negative, I'm going to slap you over your head. And I've done a lot of this training. It's a lot of my, you know, my passion is very holistic, because wealth without health absolutely means nothing. Not a joke.
Thank you.
I mean, feeling sexy. I'm 60. I'm turning 60. This is about it. I know, like seriously, I run around like I'm a 25-year-old, and I have a book that I want to write called Bullshit. Nobody ages gracefully. There are tips and tricks you need to know. You need to understand what you can do for your face, for your arms. I love the fact that my body looks the way it does.
Well, okay, and now I've heard you had twins and a daughter. So do we have 3 children? How many children do we have?
No. The twins is the daughter. I'm trying to find some stuff here I can show you. Everything's in another room, and I can't go in the other room. Oh. I have an amazing photo to show you of me pregnant with my twins. I had a 65-inch waist.
So twin boys? Is it
no, one girl, one boy.
Okay.
Oh, seriously, if you're going to be efficient, you do it one time. You push out 7-pound twins. And I will tell you, so my son sat with me last night, I think it was, and he's like, Mom, I'm really mad at you. I'm like, excuse me? He's like, yes, you had your babies when you were 40. You could have had a Down syndrome baby. I'm like, dude, it's a 17-year-old conversation. You're fine. Get over it. He said, but you could have. It would have been terrible. I'm like,
okay. So my admiration has just skyrocketed. You not only made yourself a multimillionaire, but you did it while raising 3 children.
No, just 2. There's only 2.
Okay. One boy and one girl. Sorry, 2 children. And you know, that's just remarkable. And I think that when women see other women who are not letting things get in their way, who are going for what they want more than what they ask for, right? and they're just going for it. And you know what? I can't wait to share you with all the women at WREN in April, and we look forward to having you.
Thank you.
So
Thank
excited.
you. So a couple of things, you talk about having children. I didn't have parents. I lost my parents, both of them, the year before my kids were born at 42.
Oh, wow.
Which was very tragic. And then I lost a son that I raised for 8 years. He was murdered.
Oh,
I've been through a lot. Let me tell you, this is why and I love being a role model. I am now, like I said, at this age I finally earned the role model status. Because what that means is you want to hear some of these stories and go, wow, how the heck did you do that? Mine doesn't feel so bad, or mine is really bad. How the heck did you do that? My wedding pictures on the cover of the LA Times was Dexter and my ex-husband. And it was a horrible thing to go, a murder trial for 3 years. It's there's a lot that's gone into this little life here.
Right.
But there's a couple of things that I've learned. One, you truly have to understand what you want. And I will play this game with everybody in April when I'm at Ignite. What do you want? How you articulate specifically, actionably what you want so you know when you get it. So you want to play a game for a second? For
Sure.
everybody's sake watching? Okay, Miss Deborah, what do you want?
I want passive income.
Okay. Now that's an interesting thing. That one word. Now, because I've been in real estate now for a while and I coach a lot of real estate professionals. The universe is a lot like Grubhub. You call Grubhub, hey Grubhub, I would like food. Yes, ma'am, what do you want? Like I asked you, and they, I want some Chinese. Oh, no, I had Chinese yesterday. I'll have a hamburger. Oh, no, I'm trying to cut back on meat.
Right.
Ma'am, call us back when you know what you want. Click. Or you say, hey, Grubhub, what do you want? I would like a Caesar salad, extra chicken, croutons on the side. 15 minutes later, Caesar salad, extra chicken, croutons shows up at your door. Right. How do they know? Because you said what you wanted. So you guys in this passive income thing, how do you describe, well, because here's passive income. Passive income is you write a jingle one time and they send you checks for the rest of your life. That's passive. Passive income is me shooting an infomercial one time. It airs 400 times a week for 8 years and I get a $250,000 check. Passive is not certain real estate. Passive is not Airbnb.
This is true. This is true, Forbes. And I have defined it.
Okay.
I want rent checks or income from rental real estate coming in, $14,000 a month with over 2.4 to 2.5 million in assets.
Love that. What else do you want? What do you want?
Oh, I want to be able to travel the world with the love of my life. I just got remarried for the second time.
Oh,
hello,
wow.
55, remarried.
Congratulations.
found my love, and I want to travel the world with him and retire him. And
wait a second. All right. So did you know what you want when you were looking for him?
I did. I made a list.
Okay. Guys, gay ladies, listen to that. Okay. So what was on the list?
Funny, which he keeps me laughing all the time.
Okay.
Integrity, spontaneous.
Yes.
Gosh, I can't remember the whole list right now.
But you had a list. And so when you saw him, did part of you recognize what you were looking for in him?
Yeah. Yes.
What was he looking for?
Well, he scared me right off. I'll just be really honest with you. When we were at, starting to date more regularly, I said, what are you looking for? And he said, I'm looking for the last love of my life. And it freaked me out, to be honest with you. And he said, what are you looking for? And I said, I'm looking to have a really great dinner tonight and some laughs.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. So I had a list as well because I'm on my second time. That's another thing to talk to young women about the age at which you get married and what your expectations are. I just had a friend who after 50 years of marriage just got divorced. And I said, congratulations, because you understood that you had a great time. Divorce is not a negative thing. It is an acknowledgement that you had something that was good at some point and now it's time to move on. Mm-hmm. And I think we should celebrate divorce more than we do. It's kind of this negative, oh, I'm divorced. No. Congratulations. You made a commitment to somebody and for whatever reason you guys grew apart. It happens. There's an expiration date on marriage, just like there is on milk. Now, it may be 60 years, it may be 10 years, but it's important, I think, understand that. And no one ever talked about that. Did they? My parents were married their whole lives. I think in the last 10 years, they might've been a little unhappy, but they weren't going anywhere. My dad at one point said, I said, Dad, you travel, go enjoy your life. And he's like, oh, I could never do that to your mother. She'd find out if I ever cheat on her, she'd kill me and I can't live without her. I'm like, dude, you can't really live with her either. What's going on here? So for me, I also made a list, and I love your list, but the list for me was very long and very specific. And then I met a girlfriend of mine who had a very handsome husband, and I said, what was on your list? And she said, oh, I wanted him to look like he walked off the cover of a romance novel.
Wow.
And I, very shallow, said, can I borrow that?
Right.
That's my fiance.
Oh, baby. Dang, girl.
No,
you just upped it, didn't you?
Oh, 17 years younger. And
Wow.
and you know what's great about that man?
No.
This is what's great about that man, and I'm going to totally make you guys go nuts because this is what I wanted. I was tired of my ex saying things that were nasty in the morning or not being what I wanted. I wanted to be loved. I have to be careful how I say this, but he used to say very mean things in the morning to me.
Yes.
And I wanted someone who would actually look at me with bad breath and frizzy hair and mascara down my eyes and say things like my fiance just wrote this morning at 8:24. I wrote good morning. He said, my heart controls my life and it fell in love with you. My heart felt a magical vibe the second it met you. Good morning to you too.
Oh.
It's been 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you know what? I love you. And he said the other day, because we were having a moment, and he said, stop treating me like we're old married couple. He said, this is still our honeymoon. When he said that, I was like, oh, right. I have to look at you. I fall in love with you every day.
Every day.
And so ladies, if that's what you want, and I'm going to share something with you, don't not want it. Don't not want somebody, which means you want, who just thinks that you're special and precious. Because I teach this in my class. Nobody cares about you. And Deborah, I know this is a harsh reality, but nobody does. I often say a friend loves you the way you are. I love you way too much to leave you that way. But the truth is,
good point. I love that. Can you say that again?
Okay.
I love you too much to leave you.
In my teaching, when I look at people, when you come into my world, a friend will tell you, oh, it's going to be all right, or that doesn't look so bad on you, or you're okay, it'll be fine. Bullshit. It's not going to be fine. You have to do the work. You have to get through the emotion. You have to get to the other side, and let's move on here. So I'm going to say Forbes Riley loves you way too much to leave you the way you are. I have never met a person, including myself, who is fine where they are. That doesn't need, because here's what does every Olympic athlete have in common from every country around the world for all time? They all have a coach. Somebody who is not them. Somebody who doesn't have their upbringing, their baggage, their problems, but can see it from the outside and go, wow, if you just move left, you'll be fine. So I don't care who you have as a coach, but it has to be somebody who's willing to be honest. Yes, the dress does make you look fat. Those glasses don't work with your face. Your hair color is crap. Right. That is so valuable. Yeah. But I will do an exercise when I will show you how part of this is getting rid of a little bit of your old baggage. There's things that we all hold on to, that we're wired to hold on to, that can be our undoing.
Yeah. I think that's really important, especially when you're going towards goals that you're pursuing your financial future. And, the women that come to us, they are pursuing something that, maybe it's, they want to afford private school for their children, right? Or maybe they need to support their children on their own. They're single moms. And I think that it's really important to have an environment that's not only, nurturing and has the connections and the resources that you need, but also has the gumption to say, and guess what? You're going to need to address this, because this is going to get you in your way. And I love that about you, and I love that about having you at Ignite. So we're really looking forward to this. I can't wait either. And we'll be talking to you soon. And everybody out there, say hi to Forbes Riley. Come see her at Ignite on.
Hey guys, by the way, so I'm a big believer in the universe. I just got hacked on Facebook. You can't actually find me on Facebook, but you can find me on Instagram, Forbes_Riley. I still answer all my own Instagrams. Okay. Reach out, say hi, put a like on something. I always put up little motivational things. I have learned, even though I was on home shopping this morning, selling my little heart out of my fitness product, which I will bring and make available to you guys. Why? Because number one, we all need to look and feel our very best. And that is losing the excess fat, whether it's because you're emotionally an eater. Oh, I will talk about that. Truly, I could stand in front of a refrigerator in the old days and eat a cream pie with just these two fingers. I was lying to myself about how I looked and how I felt about my body. Let's get that under control, because here's the crazy thing. You take your body wherever you go. It is one of the things that represents how your mind thinks. And if you want to hide, what we do is we put fat outside of ourselves so that we don't have to touch and feel and get close to people. I would love to help you eliminate that. And by the way, this is one of those things that just gives you energy. Deborah just said that she bought one today. I love you for that. It's a very small investment for a very large payout. You can't see it in here, but I got to tell you, my sexy arm, my arms and my abs are because of 10 years of spin gym. That's number one. Number two, I want you to start making a list of things that you really want and working with somebody else and say, hey, because I don't want to, I love that you said, I want to travel the world with my love. Most people just say they want to travel. No, I say, look, I want to go to Greece next summer with my daughter because she's 18 before she moves out of the house. That's an actionable want. If there's people listening to what you want, they're liable to give it to you if you're specific.
Right.
Do the Grubhub thing. And then lastly, give yourself permission to be wonderful, permission to be loved, permission to let go of old negative thoughts and bad relationships, and permission to own that this could be the very best life ever if you choose it to be.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Bye, you guys. I can't wait to see you in April.
Yeah.
Don't miss this.